It's Valentine's Day, and there was a lot of love in the house for Richmond in 2013, but all the football love this summer has been for Paul Roos at Melbourne. Roos debuts as Melbourne coach tonight as the 2014 NAB Challenge continues.
Oh, to the sounds of Bob Marley, there's a lot of love in the house, especially for these boys. Game 3 of the NAB Challenge series here tonight. Perhaps the most eagerly anticipated clash, because Paul Roos takes the helm for the first time tonight in an official capacity on field with the Demons. I am joined now by a 3-time premiership hero, 600 plus goals in the AFL, Alistair Lynch, and he has a very good mate alongside.
Thanks, Derm. Yeah, looking forward to this game, and yes, I have got a mate alongside. Roosie, coaching your first game for the D's. It's been a while since you actually coached in the AFL. Could you hazard a guess how many days it's been?
I'm not too sure, actually. I know last year I would have been standing here with you blokes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, have a look here at the amount of days since you last coached that semi-final against the Western Bulldogs a few years ago now, and we're up to... It flies, doesn't it?
1,252 days. Yeah, it's a long time ago. I hope I haven't lost it.
I'm sure you haven't. Well, speaking of losing it, over the pre-season, obviously it ticked a number of boxes. What's tonight about?
Oh, just reminding the players it's a journey. I mean, it's the first game. We know people are going to be watching us, but it's a journey. You know, we just want to tick a couple more boxes tonight. We need to see them play as a group and see how they respond in match conditions.
I have to ask you, Roosie, because when you take hold of a new group and a person with such a background as yours, you find the club faithful. They come to you and it's like they've loved you for every minute of your life. Have you had much with the Demon supporters?
Yeah, look, they've been terrific. You know, there's no question. I mean, they're a great bunch of supporters, as you find at most clubs. I mean, they just want to... I think they're like me. They want the players to be competitive. They want the players to be successful. I mean, they're a really good group of players that have been bashed around a lot and lost a lot of games. So we know where we're coming from. And so if we can tick a couple of boxes tonight and play reasonably good footy, we'll be happy. You
said they've been bashed around a little bit. We see the Tigers coming on now, and we'll get to Damien Hardwick shortly. But we saw you there on screen with those boys. There is talent there. How much of this job that is ahead of you is about making these kids feel good about themselves and believe that they belong at this standard?
Yeah, look, it was a big focus of the pre-season and going through the practice games the last couple of weeks and giving them roles they're capable of doing. So that's one of the main jobs of the coaches. You know, there is some talent here and we've got to get that out of the boys.
Roosie, I saw you train with them. I'm actually really pleasantly... I've dropped in a few times. I'm really pleasantly surprised. They're training well, but it all counts for naught, depending on how they put it out onto the cut stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Their training habits are really, really good. It's something they run really well on the track. They train hard, but you're absolutely right. I mean, they just haven't been able to translate that into the game. So that's what we're looking at tonight.
All the best tonight, mate. It should be a good one.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Roosie, good luck for the season.
Thanks
good luck tonight.
Thanks, boys.
Let's cross now over to David Kingy, our own Kingy. He is with the Richmond coach, Damien Hardwick.
Thanks, Derm. It's been a fantastic pre-season again down at Richmond. A lot of excitement around. The graph in your 4 years is trending up. 6 wins, 8 wins, 10 wins, 15 last year. What are you hoping for to see initially tonight, right off the bat?
Yeah, just a great contest. Look, obviously Melbourne will be out to prove to their new coach there. And we've just got to raise the bar again. You know, the fact is last year we had a reasonable season, but it means nothing. So we've got to start well and get our contested ball count, get the ball in play in our forward half. It'll be a good result.
What about Dustin Martin at half-back? Can you tell us the logic behind that?
Yeah, he'll go through there at various stages. Probably the one thing is we want to increase the flexibility of Dustin. We know he can play midfield. We know he can play forward. We also want to make him an attacking half-back weapon as well, as we have with Brett and probably Trent at stages also. So we feel he's another weapon for us.
We saw Hawthorn last night, super professional. They were ruthless against an undermanned Brisbane. Are Richmond there yet? Are they ruthless enough tonight to get the job done in the convincing manner?
We hope so. We spoke about it in the pre-game meeting. That's what good sides do. You know, we've gone through a phase similar to what Melbourne and those sides are going through at the moment, but we're at the stage now where it's a clinical procession is what we're looking for. You know, we play well in, week out. So if we're switched on, we'll get the result we're after.
Good luck, mate. Go and enjoy it.
Thanks, mate. Thanks,
Over to you, Lynchy.
Thanks, Kingy. Let's have a look at the Richmond lineup for tonight's game. Some rising stars amongst his team. Morris was very good off halfback last year. Asprey only played 5 games last season due to injury, looking to cement his spot in the team. And if you look at youngsters, Nick Floston, outstanding on the wing, and will be another improver. Look at some of the younger guys like Sam Lloyd's a mature recruit from Frankston, a handy forward, and then the likes of Sean Hampson, 63 games for the Melbourne Football Club, just to add some depth to that ruck forward position.
I think he's going to be really valuable for them this season. Let's have a look at the Demons now. It is about midfield depth. They were very shallow for players they could rotate through the middle. True inside the square players last year. Daniel Cross comes across. He's just about on the doorsteps of retirement, and he's made his way into the Demons lineup. He's named in the centre. They also get Bernie Vince, Viv Mitchie and Dom Tyson. Dom Tyson from GWS. This kid can play. He's not the quickest by foot out there, but he's got a very sharp mind and good skills, and he's a genuinely tough inside midfielder for a young man. There's Daniel Cross on screen now. They just need to play together and work out their rotations. Lynchy, we're about to go on.
Yeah, no doubt. There's some young talent in there. They've just got to come out of their shells, and I'm looking forward to seeing them over the course of the next few weeks.
Absolutely. Well, it's the D's. Their first shot under Paul Roos. He's allowed the Demon faithful to dream for 2014. How will they go tonight? We'll find out on the other side of the break. It's the Tigers and the Demons.
Welcome back to Etihad Stadium for Game 3 of the 2014 NAB Challenge, part of our 18 games in 18 days here on Fox Footy. Premiership stars everywhere. Dermot Brereton, a 5-time, Alistair Lynch, 3-time. Let's go back down to David King, a 2-time Premiership star on the boundary. Welcome back, Kingy.
Sounds pretty ordinary, Drain, when you put those numbers up with the other boys, but there's a couple of things I'm really looking forward to tonight from a Richmond point of view. We touched on Dustin Martin with Damien Hardwick a moment ago. At half-back, can they be afforded that luxury? He was second in their best and fairest last year, and he kicked 25 goals. They're not a high goal-scoring midfield, the Richmond Football Club, so they'll need to be at their best. Can Dustin hold down half-back? We wait and see. Trent Cotchin's the other one. His leadership has been under question. Richmond's leadership as a group's been under question all week, with Jack Rewalt missing out on that group. We need to see him tonight instructing, organising the group at stoppages. We need to see him finger pointing, encouraging his teammates. We know he's a superstar player. We know he can do it individually, but can he get this team rolling? They're the 2 points of interest tonight for me, Dwayne.
Yeah, you make a massive point there, as we saw Nathan Jones in his first role as officially the captain of the Melbourne Football Club, co-captain, of course. Tell us a little bit more, Kingy. What else have you got in the can for tonight?
I'm looking forward to see how Melbourne handle going from pre-season into full mode of game against real-time opposition. Through the pre-season, they controlled the ball, they used the ball short, lots of marking, lots of working in terms of providing an option for your teammate. Didn't see that last year at all, so we just want to see how that goes under genuine heat, defensive heat from the Richmond Football Club.
Paul Roos with Jade Rawlings in the Melbourne coach's box. 356 games as a player for Fitzroy and Sydney. 11th on the all-time games played list. Paul Roos was an absolute superstar as a player. 8.5 seasons as coach of the Sydney Swans and a premiership from his 2 grand finals there. And now at the Melbourne Football Club, and he could well be the man to turn it around. Melbourne just 2 wins in 2013. Finished 16th and 17th the past 2 seasons, the Demons. And they're due for a little bit of joy. They got their man, and tonight 2014 starts for the Melbourne Football Club. It's a big moment for Melbourne fans. They want to see something tonight, even though it's only the NAB Challenge, Alistair.
Absolutely. Any team that goes out in the field, their fans just are looking for that hope. And the hope started with Paul Roos being appointed as a coach. There's some mature age recruits that have been outstanding through the pre-season. If you look at the likes of Cross, that knows what it's like to work hard to get onto a list and then become an outstanding player. Bernie Vince obviously had some success over with the Adelaide Crows, best and fairest winner a few years ago. He's been really good on the track with these youngsters. The quality of the youngsters is there. We've just got to get them to come out of their shells.
So the new recruit for the Tigers, Sean Hampson in the ruck, and he'll get another chance to go out up against Jake Spencer. And of course the umpires are a little rusty as well.
And Jake Spencer, we saw it. He played some good football last year at different stages, had the suspension and injury issues, but a big month for him.
Play on.
Finally got it out. The umpire was calling for it. Hooley got it out. Edwards hunts it down. See a lot of new faces for both teams. We'll explain a few of them to you, but there's one of the oldest of the lot. Chris Newman turns 32 this season, and he'll have the first shot at goal. And even if he kicks this from outside 50, it'll only be for 6. It's pretty much the only change to the home and away season rules for the 2014 NAB Challenge is that the 9-point super goal from outside 50 is still in. But if you're watching the NAB Challenge for the first time in 2014, the game length is the same as the home and away season, 20-minute quarters plus.
Kicked beautifully before the game.
And kicked beautifully forward then.
Just in the warm-up, he was striking them as sweet as you could see. Just lovely, lovely execution.
What a nice three-quarter golf swing, that one. Just flushed it straight through the middle, and another exciting year ahead for the former skipper.
Just look at him lining up there. He's got Dean Turlick against him in the forward line. Looks like he's playing a flanking role, but they keep most of their forwards pretty well inside the 50, all grouped together. Let's have a look at the NAB Challenge rules. 6 interchanges plus 6 interchange players plus 2 subs, 9 points for super goals, head clashes. When players elect to bump, that's their choice. It will be acted upon if they meet with the other player's head.
And good additions to the rules, not just for the NAB Challenge, of course, those alterations there in for the home and away season as well. Nathan Foley, who's hoping to be in for home and away season after being dropped for the finals last year, which was a big dent to him. Dustin Martin, who signed long-term.
Good kick.
And here is the man David King spoke about, Trent Cotchin, for leadership.
Great tackle.
Dragged down, brilliant tackle.
Super.
Mackenzie the free.
There's a big difference, isn't there, between tackling and tackling with intent to take somebody down. And that young man does it regularly.
Frawley, speaking of signings and not signed, James Frawley yet to sign, and that's a big story that's going to evolve in 2014. Lyndon Dunn dances his way through the wing, heads long. This is Kennedy Harris in the 24 for the Demons. Big raps on him, and let's hope he has a good night at the office in his debut. He's turned from acting to an AFL player. He was in Neighbours, he's in a couple of ads on TV as well. So if it doesn't work out for him, maybe back to the bigger screen for Kennedy Harris. Morris, little fumble. Kennedy Harris dives in to try and rake it out. Jones in there. High contact. And the free kick will go to Nathan Jones.
Another best and fairest victory for Nathan Jones last year. He has led the way in so many departments for this club over the last handful of years. An outstanding player. The real question is not whether this man's going to perform, it's just the support he gets through the midfield.
You make a magnificent point. Didn't just win the best and fairest last year, he also won best clubman. They normally spread those two out at clubs, but didn't have anyone else to win those two.
A fantastic player. He's going to really appreciate the addition of Cross and Bernie Vince, and his clearance work, centre stoppages work. The centre clearance work is number 2 in the competition. Obviously leads the way by a long way at Melbourne.
Lyndon Dunn bangs it back inside 50. Dustin Martin, the don't argue on the first gamer, had the advantage of strength. It puts it out on the full.
He was always going to win that battle.
Yeah.
We've seen that tactic a few times over the last couple of years from Dustin Martin. He's very good at it.
Hey, this kid, he was drafted as a 17-year-old and turned 18 by the next season. But when he was 17 playing in practice matches, he was doing it to regular seasoned AFL players.
Here's Kennedy Harris. And he looks lively early. Picked 40 in 2013's draft, Jay Kennedy Harris. Trinity Grammar boy, where he was on a scholarship for a while. Foley. Fumble, a mess. Grigg. Martin went for Ellis, missed him completely. Turlick on the rebound. Melbourne looking okay early. In the 12, that's Don Tyson.
That fixed him, Dwayne.
And Colin Sylvia's old 12, who'll be hoping to have better luck than that. Galedio wide, and on the outer side, this is Liam McBean playing his first game for the Tigers, and he puts it out on the full.
202 centimetres. He's got a bit of muscle to put on over the next few seasons, but a good experience for him. Plays a lot forward, but obviously with that size and shape in the ruck as well.
There we say McBean pole right now. Liam McBean, they picked 33 in the 2012 draft. He kicked 37 goals in the VFL in 14 games last year, so he can get it and he can kick it straight when he needs to.
Get off quick. You've got to see that player. Mackenzie ran past. Now, as that ball's coming to Lyndon Dunn, Oh, sorry, Lyndon. I was looking at the 44 there. Rowan Bale. He should have seen Mackenzie go past and therefore have the knowledge to swing around quickly. It's worked out well in the end, but it should have been in there an extra 3 or 4 seconds earlier. All part of the learning process. Someone like Roosie will write that note down and tell him that at quarter time. So much of this season is going to be about pure education. There's a bit on that.
He missed from the other side and now misses from this side. And Kingy scoring is going to be important for Melbourne, not just how many they kick, how many they stop as well in 2014, regardless of how many wins they get.
Yeah, I think when you look at what they're all about this year, it's about becoming competitive again. And we keep talking about percentage, and they had a percentage of 54% last year. Now, Paul Roos will talk about that every week internally to the Melbourne players and the Melbourne faithful. And I think that if they can get that somewhere up around the 75 to 80 at the end of the year, the wins will look after themselves. I'm not sure that they can get any more than 4 or 5, maybe 6 wins, but they just need this club to be competitive again, and that'll be the yardstick for me.
Griffiths hands it off. Vickery, his first go, couldn't pluck it. Ellis is pushed out of it. Oh, great pick on the run, Edwards. Just nugs in the back on the kick. And umpire said it was in the side, so a behind will count.
That was the Vlosten kick to Vickery. Vickery did very well. He got the drop on for all. He had 3 or 4 metres. But Vlosten really should have done better with that kick. It should have been at the knees. Put it up, made him hang, made him jump, cleared his head with it. That's a simple soda kick. That's what these games are for. Iron out those creases and crinkles in your game.
Doomy, this exact mode here, this chip mark mode, we didn't see it all in the last 2 seasons for Melbourne. They averaged 82 marks a week, which was 3rd last in the competition. If they can do a little bit of this, then the defensive end will be taken care of. I mean, they've only conceded 1 goal in 8 minutes of play so far. This is exactly what Paul Roos wants.
Well, you and I have spent a little bit of time watching them train. They are actually training for this type of play as well, the share of the ball around the ground. I mean, they've actually come into this game. They feel good about themselves for the first time in a couple of years, Kingy.
Just don't need any big errors from the young players early. Just keep the confidence rolling, and it just could build into something that might shock Richmond.
Clever.
Chaplin, half back, looks up. He's got McBean on the lead again. Beaten for it though by the experienced Frawley. And now on the rebound, Howe has some space.
Gotta go quick.
He wants the goal square. He floats it up a little. It's sitting in the air. Rance will get there. Morris should. Away from Bale.
That was fantastic work rate and reading from Morris. As soon as the ball was in the air, he took off. Rowan Bale had to sit under a long ball. It was a nervous wait and a nice spoil.
I want to ask you that. Now, Bale had to sit under it. He's not a key position player. There will be no doubt you've had those sitting in the goal square and a bloke's charging at you. How do you play that? Do you take his space and then let him carry you to the drop of the footy? Or what do? You put a knee up? What do you do?
Absolutely. You block his run. You don't allow him to have the free jump and spoil over the top. It's just allows him to nullify the contest too easily, make it difficult for him. Even borderline, you risk giving the free kick away because it's an easy spoil.
So Viv Mitchie, we're in the 22 for Melbourne, getting his first touch, being recruited from Fremantle. Cochin. And now the run from defence. This is the gun new player Ben Lennon for the Tigers, and a few of the new players a little untidy at the moment. They're being tunnelled towards the boundary by one of the old new players, Daniel Cross, if you like, 210 games for the Bulldogs, and he takes it to the line in his first game for the Demons.
You went with the Dogs. You still can't. It's very difficult to get it out of your mind. The skills are going to come apart a little bit in these games. What we're looking for is the way they knit together, the way they play together, and how they support each other.
It's the decisions they make that the coach is looking for. Now, the skill errors will come with fatigue, and obviously the stage of the season is, but both Hardwick and Roos will be looking for the players to be making the right decisions.
Lyndon Dunn in his 10th season in the AFL.
He's got a man on the opposite wing. If he can get it there, it opens them up.
Had to flush it. It's a good kick.
So the switch of play, we're seeing Trengove. He heads short, and we're in the 22, as I mentioned, Viv Mitchie. After just the 1 game for Fremantle, they took him pick 44 back in 2010. Didn't see a lot of action for them. Pedersen taken across the line.
34 disposals for Melbourne, 31 for Richmond. Fair enough, yeah, they've kicked a goal. But that's it tells you that they're actually sharing the ball around a bit, and their desire to hang on to it and make the other team defend against them, rather than the kick down the line and play that always safe footy down the line.
Good tackle from Turlick there. That was Camden McIntosh in the 33, so another of the first gamers for the Tigers getting wrapped up.
You're spot on, Derm. Last year they had a disparity of 80 disposals a week. Now that's a lot of chasing tail for the opposition. If they can get some reward for their work, get a few possessions here and there, the run will come. That was ranked last in the competition for 2013.
What you also do, Kingy, when you share it around, you force the opposition's forwards to push to the other end of the ground. So there is a bit of fatigue going the other way.
Dean Turlick missing, so they've had some opportunities. Melbourne should be further in front.
It's Melbourne going at 73% their efficiency with their disposals, which is a good start. As you said, encouraging to go short, honour the leads into space, honour the work rate of your teammates. Just they've got to persist with this.
Tigers by 2 points. Melbourne 5 misses to start their evening as Edwards and Frawley introduce themselves to each other and we get a ball in.
I watched Jib at training. As I mentioned, Kingy and I have both been down there watching them on occasions. I've probably seen the one-on-one contest, probably 30 or 40 in the air he's had at training.
Defeated?
Haven't seen... Oh, defeat column? 0. Hasn't been beaten in the air yet for all the time I've been watching.
He's very good one-on-one. You see him go one-on-one with the likes of Jonathan Brown, and he holds his own. Probably got a very good record on the likes of Rewalt and Brown. Big, strong forwards.
Did look a little bit strange, one of us turning up on a Harley. I've got to be honest.
Thank you, the victory.
You would have been on the tram, grassroots man.
Daniel Cross.
Kingy put on the red and blue tracksuit top to get nice and close.
Chaplin attacks it. Good hard collision, and we've seen that so far in the NAB Challenge. Teams are going at it pretty hard. Little nudge in the back, not paid. Umpire says keep going, please. The poke pass missed Pedersen. He didn't have a left foot. Pedersen wanted to give back to Blees. He's wrapped up. He's in trouble now. Umpire gives him the benefit of the doubt.
And young Sam Blee's getting involved there. I mean, I think he's one of those players. There's been a few that have frustrated supporters over the last couple of years. He's got an enormous amount of talent. He's got that burst of speed that can make him an extraordinary player, but just can't get continuity on the field with his injuries. Only played the 10 games, I think, last year.
He's got that pace you talk about, which we, at league level, kill for.
Yep.
He just got a bit helter-skelter there, and the decision-making wasn't what it should have been. It's a push-up.
Umpire plays advantage. Kennedy Harris, who's had a lot of it in his first game as a Demon. No, nail it.
Well, Kingy, I'll defer to you down there because you've got 3 forwards up here. And I think
review, please.
they're going to review
Call
it.
is out on the full, but we'd just like to check.
Well, while we do, Kingy, I'll pose you this question. When you're a forward and somebody plays on from your free, I know I did, I'd yell out, no, bring it back, bring it back. What does the midfielder think?
I know, we see the big sticks. Even the halfback flankers union, we don't listen to the forwards at all. We have every shot we possibly can.
Yeah, that's missed by a good metre. So, good referral for the review. Out on the full.
This is a terrific start by the Demons here, and the fans down here at ground level are really supportive of their effort so far. I know it's very early, but you just need to see some signs, and I'll tell you what, we're seeing some, no doubt.
We are, and 8 inside 50s to 4. Just the finishing inside 50s just been the issue.
Martin shrugs the tackle, and that sets it all up. Newman back to Dustin Martin again. Got his arms free. Made it tough for Newman. Knocks the Cochin, but they keep it moving forward.
There's a wave of Richmond players coming through the middle.
McBean couldn't quite. Tumpus a little untidy on McBean. Frawley, strong tackle. Little toe poke was okay from Strauss's boot. It sets it up. Matt Jones,
That's
Dean
well
Turlick.
done. They've taken the ball from Heat then to 2 or 3 possessions out the back. That's just let off a bit of steam, and now they get a chance to reload and sum up their options.
Yeah, it appears they're just playing one back just to sweep off halfback. So they look for these short ball off halfback. Turlick's been very effective. I mean, with 5 disposals early in the game.
Kennedy Harris again.
And we could see a big screamer coming up here if he goes long. No.
Spencer handed that off to Jones.
Well, we're in defence of Big Spencer. Have a look at the marks in the game. 27 Melbourne, 14. Now, Spencer here. But in his defence, he's been called by his best player, and his best player was running on the outside and had nowhere to go. Actually, Nathan Jones shouldn't have called for that.
Goes all the way back to, this is Giorgio, premiership player for Norwood in the SANFL, so an experienced defender they've recruited as well, the Demons.
He's been an experienced defender over the last 3 or 4 years in South Australia, so a good, solid senior player.
Yeah, 24 years of age, yep.
Just going back to the Melbourne style, I know we're harping on this a little bit, but when you first come in for those initial couple of months, you want to see a brand of football being able to be displayed almost instantly after 3 months of training.
A direction.
And we're seeing that already, and this won't be anywhere near the finished product, and there'll be some forward talent that'll come in and make it even easier for them to score, but we see how they want to play already.
Yeah, you're spot on. Whether it's right or wrong, we see what the intent is.
Grimes couldn't hit Pedersen, but they're getting a lot of the ball, as the boys told you.
And that's exactly where a big forward like Mitch Clark can draw the ball to the top of the goal square and make a big contest, and that allows the forward crummers to get in. So you actually don't turn the ball over as regularly as they are at the moment.
That's a great tackle. That's gone.
So Griffiths rewarded after you saw Sean Hampson in the back pocket taking a strong grab, getting behind the ball.
And Griffiths is another one that can, add depth. And he's 200 centimetres, can play key back.
One thing they're doing, Melbourne, they're denying the targets long, and they're forcing Richmond. That's a fair run, son.
Lees took him on and then gave it to Hampson, strangely enough.
And they're forcing a few turnovers around half back, and Richmond are coughing it up by foot.
Martin.
Maybe not this bloke.
McBean again, done with the experience on the first gamer. He goes to ground and Dunn keeps his feet. Spot on. And that helps them get away with it. Strauss.
They're back six at their best. Look out.
And cut off. Nice mark taken by McIntosh. Another first gamer for the Tigers.
Now, this is going to be a scoring shot. And that was all due to that on the back pedal, and he tried to chip it out wide. He had a couple of boys in the middle. If he was able to one step back, load up, and just chip down there, and that was young James Strauss. Should have got the ball probably 2 seconds earlier, and it would have made a huge difference.
This is against the run of play. Ellis wobbles it through for a behind.
That's the difference, Dern, between being able to do it at Gosh's paddock in a training sense, just chipping it around. It's an uncontested game, not at real speed, not with any great heat defensively, to bring it here against an opponent. And I guess that's what the Melbourne coaching staff wanted to find out.
Yeah. And we're going to see a few errors as we get into the end of each quarter. It's probably the time you become the most fatigued in the season is opening game of NAB Challenge 1 or 2 at the end of especially quarters 3 and 4. You'll find the skills drift away a little bit just under fatigue.
And everyone thinks you've trained hard 5 or 6 days a week for 4 months, and halfway through the first quarter and the first practice match you're gone.
You come out and you've got brand new muscles. You feel like you're going to lift buildings and run quicker, but as soon as somebody tackles you a few times, it's a different kettle of fish.
Nicholson flicks it up. Bale heads to the pocket. He's going for King. And unfortunately for Max King and the Wagga Tigers in his first game as a Demon, couldn't pounce on that one, but he's big, 200 centimetres, just an 18-year-old getting a chance, and 18's young, but for a 200 centimetre player, it's extremely young to be playing in the AFL. Bale. King, good hands low. Jones already had a sider from that pocket.
Yeah, they're away now. It's just that Melbourne have just got to set up their defensive structures quickly. That's a great tackle.
That is a splendid tackle. A wrap around on McIntosh, has been caught a couple of times, and Howe is within range.
Now, 6 months ago, that tackle was broken, and Richmond are still bouncing their way up through centre wing into the forward 50. So that is a very good tackle from one of their more experienced players, in Jeremy Howe.
Fair to say Melbourne deserve a goal. But they still don't get one.
How do you see the Dustin Martin move at half-back at the moment? He's had 6 disposals, the one inside 50, but he's, as we see this tackle, again, as you said, Lynchy, that's the perfect perfect tackle we may not have seen in 2013, but a new mindset.
He had
and
to
a new
turn with that
approach.
tackle. Yep.
Well, how do you see Dustin down back at the moment, Derm?
The thing I would look at Dustin Martin and I say he's a devastating midfielder, and you say why take him out of there? But the whole footballing world knows that he didn't run out second halves last year, so perhaps, I mean, you still don't get much respite as a half-back flanker, but it's not the same as drill running backwards and forwards in the middle. Perhaps they're trying to increase his tank or increase consistency in terms of workload out of him across 4 quarters, but it might be to keep a little bit in the tank, and even in these games, you've still got to learn the art of playing back as well. So once again, even though he's an experienced player, so-called, you do need an education when you move somewhere new in the ground.
Delidio, short.
He might working closely with Brett Delidio through the course of the first half of the season, rotating off half-back.
This will be for 9 if Griffiths decides to go for it.
Have a look at him, Kingy. Dustin Martin's coming to you while we wait on this kick. Is he blowing hard, or is he...
There's not a lot of oxygen left in the venue with Dustin coming off.
He's got plenty on it.
Kick.
And Blackburn Footy Club gets $500 worth of Sharon's thanks to NAB. He has nailed that from outside the arc.
He has, and as we'd expect, Dustin Martin just looking for the other lung. But it's great to see Griffiths getting involved there. As we said, struggled a little bit with injury. Only played the 1 game last season. I think that's a total of about 19 or 20 games for Griffiths. And that's a very nice kick. Just getting reward for effort. Haven't had a lot of the ball. Disposal count is 82 Melbourne, 55 for Richmond. Inside 50 is a big discrepancy in favour of Melbourne again, but just the efficiency inside 50 is where they've been absolutely outplaying Melbourne at this stage.
Nicholson on the run to Jones. Strauss, can he hit a target? Well, no, not that way. Fumble and Foley's in. The Tigers have got a sniff here. Could finish this quarter strong. Ellis caught, good tackle, got it up. Foley just in time. Flicks it wide, but they've got the runners.
Bernie Vince, great leadership there. When you see the new recruit, a valued, prized recruit, just do the hard things like that. That's great. Good foot skills going inside 50 for the Tigers.
So Grigg to line up, and they're going to make them pay here.
Yeah, Grigg just, that's not... What's the rule now?
It's still
over 5, isn't it? Yeah, well, it didn't look like it was that far, but Grigg just wandered out of the midfield and found that space free inside forward 50. So just a lack of accountability from Melbourne at that stage, but just to reinforce your point, leadership from Bernie Vince, apparently outstanding through the pre-season with the youngsters, just really leading by example.
With the beard, Brett Delidio strikes that okay. It drifts a little, but it's there. Tigers have struck a rich vein all of a sudden.
The beard's big, Derm. You wouldn't go well with the beard, would you?
No, there's a little bit too much ginger in it.
But here,
in 3 months ago when it was Movember, a little bit of silver coming through these days as well. We can't go the beard.
No, that's why I'm with you there. You've got to keep the stubble pretty tight with the greys coming through. But Brett Delidio, one of the rising stars in the competition, still probably got a level to go.
Yeah, you go, Dwayne, or have you got a little bit of alopecia of the beard area as well as your head?
No, I have a little grey, but I don't colour mine out of my hair, so people know that I've got grey. Jones in the middle down. Spencer tried the secondary knock on. 1.5 minutes left in this opening term. All the way back to Frawley. And we've mentioned a couple of times, Kennedy Harris looks okay in game
That's a good
1.
switch.
He looks very lively. Looks like he can play football outside of having that raw speed and skill.
And I'm looking at Dustin Martin chasing him at the moment, and I don't think Dustin wants any part of it.
Yeah.
Bale to the pocket, and Howe gets a chance to kick a late one for Melbourne.
Is their only likely target inside forward 50 at the moment, Jeremy Howe. He's probably not one that draws the ball. He's probably your third string forward that can jump on top of packs and free-wheel up the forward.
Having said that, they've had now 8 shots at goal.
That is superb from Jeremy Howe. They deserved it. They finally got it.
So taking up that point, we're looking at it and say, right, Pedersen's the key forward.
Yeah.
Now, he's not a champion. And there we go there. And he lays it across the boot. So Pedersen's the key forward. How's that floating third man up style? Yep. But they've still had 8 shots a goal to Richmond's 5.
Yeah, they've been really good off half-back in their midfield. Just actually hitting the targets with the marks inside forward 50 has been the issue. But we know they've got an enormous amount of talent to go into that forward 50 if Clark is fit and well, and we know the young talent that's coming through in those key posts.
40 seconds from quarter time, just repeating. The quarters are full length in the NAB Challenge in 2014, so 20 minutes plus time on. Kennedy Harris again with a touch. We'll try and set up a late chance at a score. Morris cuts it off. 20 seconds left. Martin, Ellis. Back to Dustin Martin. Might not be time enough here for the Tigers. Could be time enough for the Demons. Turnover, Pedersen. They need to get it inside 50 quickly.
Oh, good bump.
Cut off. And now Lennon. The short pass to Vickery. And the siren's going to beat the Tigers here. Unfortunately for McBean, who had a couple of opportunities in the opening term but spilt them and took the mark, but that was after the siren. Quarter time in Game 3 of the NAB Challenge here at Etihad Stadium. 18 games in 18 days on Fox Footy. And Melbourne were great to watch, but the Tigers lead by 10 points. A super goal, 2 goals 2 to Melbourne, 1 goal 7. Second term not far away, and I'll tell you what is also not far away is the AFL Grand Final recall. The Hawks, 2013 premiers, and it's a fantastic watch. It's not far away from your screens, and it all started for Hawthorn the night they beat the Cats in the prelim. The 4 scribes you're going to see a bit from Sheehan, Robbo, Wadley. And we're looking forward to seeing Ralphie as well joining the boys, just to find out what they've got to say about a number of different topics of 2014. We're going to see them at half-time discussing whether Paul Roos is really the messiah at the Melbourne Football Club. So far so good for the Demons. They're not leading at quarter time, but they're in touch, 10 points the margin, after Richmond did get a super goal. But Melbourne had more scoring shots in the opening term. And don't forget, you get your chance to have a say as well as part of Fox Footy's $18,000 giveaway. We're giving away $1,000 per NAB Challenge match. Every night we're going to throw up a question for you. You've got 18 words or less to give us your answer. And is Paul Roos the messiah is the question tonight. www.foxsports.com.au/win. See the terms and conditions for your entry, but 18 words or less. Is Paul Roos the messiah? But more from the 4 scribes at half-time. So far so good for the Demons though, guys.
We have a look at the quick snapshot of the stat sheet. Short kicks, Melbourne 38, Richmond 19, and the marks 36 uncontested to Melbourne and 26 to Richmond. So definitely 9 times out of 10 they're looking for the short possession, especially by foot.
And they're also winning contested possessions, plus 10 contested, so it's not just the outside game.
Dom Tyson misses the target. He's wearing the 12. Colin Sylvia's old 12 for the Demons.
He's worth having a look at, Dom Tyson. I'm a big rap for this kid. Saw him at GWS at close quarters. Strong kid, really strong mind. I think he's going to be a very, very good acquisition.
Just plenty of injuries over the last couple of years, hasn't he?
That's what's cruelled him. Fumbled there.
And there he is on cue. Just 3 games last year for Greater Western Sydney, Dom Tyson, but he was originally a pick 3, so giving up pick 2 for him about the same.
He's got a free run at it here. Looks like little Titch Edwards is on the other side of the pack, and he's got the free run against him.
Hampson thrown out of it off the ball. Flick back towards Floston.
Good ball.
Blease. And Asprey takes it to the line.
There's that pace again from Sam Blease. Wasn't able to take possession on that occasion, but
got 40 metres.
Enormous amount of talent and pressures the ball carrier. If he's in that area, he's going to put pressure on the opposition.
Back into play. Trent Cotchin, a boomer to the middle. Again, McBean beaten by it. Well read by Dunn, though, the experience. Spencer Frawley. All the way across the opposite side. It was a good run from Strauss. It's the delivery he needs to nail here. And it does. Kennedy Harris, I should say.
Speaking of good run, he powered from the forward pocket.
That was what I said, good run forward, Dwayne. He took off next to the first kicker. Yeah. So he's done a half lap of the ground just to get on the end here.
He was the Oakley Chargers co-captain last year, Kennedy Harris, so he obviously has the goods, and he had them in junior levels.
What are you saying he started Neighbours, Dwayne?
He was in the episode of Neighbours, yes, as Bernie Vince
Where do you get
plays
this
on.
stuff?
Actually, that was a lovely article by Emma Quayle on The Age that I read. You don't have to dig too far. Colin Garland has been good enough to join us to have a chat about all things 2014 and the Melbourne Football Club. Thanks for coming in, Colin.
Yeah, no worries. It's good that footy's back, that's for sure.
We have talked a lot about Melbourne so far tonight. The Tigers are in front by 10 points. The Tigers are looking good as well, it's got to be said, but they did play finals last year. You guys only won 2 games, so it has been one of the big stories of the summer whether you will improve in 2014, and it's only early, but there were good signs tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've moved the ball really well so far, and with our scoring shots, I think if we were probably a bit more accurate, we would have probably been in front. But yeah, no, the signs are really good at the moment, especially defensively. I think we're really pushing up the ground and making it hard for the Tigers to get any run.
You've been around the Demons for a couple of years now. I mean, did you notice a real difference with the approach from Paul Roos and his coaching staff, the way you went about pre-season?
Yeah, definitely. I think just the Paul Roos factor in itself was great, and he's got a real footy focus and back to basics focus, which has been really great for our young players.
Good chance here for Bale, spins it around the body and splendid. Back to a 4-point margin.
Great to see Rowan Bale, and he's another one of those Melbourne players. Had a few problems with the concussion and a few injuries over the last couple of years, but looks like a real hard midfielder at his best.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is probably the first time Rose had a full pre-season, and last year he really did struggle. There's probably a period there for a couple of weeks where he really considered his footy future. Yep. And he's one of a number of guys that probably had their first full pre-season that have been here at the club for a while.
Have a look at this. The tackling pressure is something we've noted as well tonight, and you've been able to turn the ball over on a number of occasions. Jeremy Howe was rewarded a shot on goal. That's something we didn't see a lot of last year. Obviously a major focus.
Oh, definitely. I think everyone knows the way Sydney's played, and that's Paul Roos's biggest emphasis is on tackling pressure and defensive pressure in general. So that's been a massive focus for us in the pre-season.
Chris Newman. John Grigg. Had an outstanding couple of years since crossing to the Tigers from the Blues. Only missed 1 game in the past 2 seasons at the Tigers. And a huge contributor. Ellis, a chance to line up. Kick from outside 50 perhaps, but it'll only be for 6 if he nails the goal. Took the mark inside the arc.
Yeah, Grigg's been one of those really smart pickups to add depth. Midfield rotations off halfback as well.
Doesn't get onto it.
It looks like one of mine off the shin pre-season, exhausted.
Looks like one of your tee-shots.
Oh! Ty Vickery wasn't 15 plays on and goals. That's nasty.
Well, that was one of your tee shots. It's gone 10 feet.
I don't hit it that far.
Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to run and get it and tee it off again. Ty Vickery kicks the goal. It's a 10-point margin. We've talked a lot about Melbourne. Let's bring some more Richmond flavour in. Let's head downstairs to David King, who's got one of the Tiger superstars that's not playing tonight.
We've got a superstar in the making down here, Reece Conker. Reece, welcome to the program. What's the issue with you at the moment? Why aren't you out there?
So obviously had a couple of surgeries in the off-season, the hamstring and the foot. So just recovering from that. Had a couple of setbacks pre-Christmas with the foot. But at the moment, I'm flying, body's good. Just probably going to get a bit more match fitness in me and hopefully play a bit of NAB 2 or NAB 3 and lead into the season well.
Pretty scrappy game. What do you make of that last goal there, mate? Is that part of the plan?
Oh, no, probably not like that. But, we're going well. Melbourne are, putting up a good fight. We've got a lot of young guys out there, but probably a few little skill areas that we've got to, amend and, kick the goals.
You're part of that midfield core that's coming through this next wave, this young brigade that Damien's really pushing now to take control of this club. It must be exciting times.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And, we've recruited well. Anthony Miles from GWS and, we've drafted the last couple of years really well. So, we've got the experience behind us, which is great.
Love you to commentate. Ty Vickery walking in here. Give us a little bit of calling, Reece Conker style.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, Ty, Lovely set shot at goal. He's coming in now. Hopefully he splits the middle. Looks good off the boot. Oh, the Tiger Army goes up. That's beautiful.
All the best for the season.
He's going to put me out of a job.
All the best, Reece, and put your CV in, mate, and we'll have a look at it during the year for the off-season next year, maybe.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me, guys.
Back to you, Dwayne.
It's the end of me. Ty Vickery, 2 in a row.
Good mark. Good opposition. Ball came in. He had to read it off the boot. The snap kick forward. Protected the side of the body it was falling to. Yeah, real good mark. Doesn't look much, but given the opposition, he reads them the flight of the ball through the air as good, if not better, than every other backman.
You see the size difference on Frawley as well.
Well, Frawley's a big man.
Yeah.
That's what Ty Vickery's got working for him as well.
We'll chat to Colin about that mismatch as well, because I'm sure he'd be a chance to line up on him if he was playing as well. Tyson, Rance, caught, dispossessed. Pedersen, quite. Tackling pressure again from the Demons. They're looking solid. Little roll in the tackle to Mitchie. Holds it in there, the new Demon. Gets himself a ball up. It'd be a tough matchup, Ty Vickery, Colin.
Oh, definitely. I think if he's got Frawley covered, I think he's got me well and truly covered, that's for sure.
So who goes who? If young Chip gets Jack Rewald, you go to Vickery more often than not?
Potentially. I guess we've got Tom McDonald there as well. So I played small majority of the last year. So, but yeah, that's
the way to go.
I think flexibility is the key down there.
Nathan Foley went into the duck of the tackle then, and he went over the shoulder with the tackle, the tackler. The umpire just called play on. Good rule.
Has frustrated many for the last couple of years, but it has changed, and changed for the better. Hampson, who's looked okay in his first game for the Tigers. Edwards caught, dispossessed. Max King in the 47th for Melbourne. Makahuli. Newman caught by the ear. Turlick just as hard. Great commitment. We've seen this in the NAB Cup so far. A spin Dom Tyson. Please. Got a couple on his hammer, and that's almost a good result.
Now, it's just, we have a look at this, a little bit of friendly fire here. Bang. But Dom Tyson waited until the turn of the tackle pointed him in his team's direction to hack the ball forward. Little things like that are worth picking up, that under the heat, he's still got the presence of mind to actually get the ball in the right direction.
Asprey stole it from Tringove as he tried to shrug that tackle.
Good bump.
And mark from Giorgio is okay.
Oh, he's got that one. He's done well.
Clever mark. That's not a great kicking action, but it's a little bit of the two-hand drop.
Young man who's new into AFL football but been around senior football for a while, Matt Jones. Very good young play. Just have a look at this decision, this mark here. Looked out in the full to me. Oh, it's only just.
Yes.
Only by about 2 metres. Tell us about Matt Jones. I think he was 4th or 3rd in your BNF last year, been an outstanding pickup over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a real surprise packet last year. He was 26 years old. Yep. He played Eastern Footy League a couple of years ago, so he's been really good this year, and I think he's put on a lot of body size as well, so hopefully he can back up. The second year is obviously, the tougher test.
Yep.
The man on the mark here is on the 50, which would constitute this only being for 6 points, but we'll check that. Puts it nicely through the air. We'll keep an eye on this. How did the umpire read it? Was it for 9? Yes! The free was just outside 50. So it's a super goal to Cam Pedersen. The Demons well and truly back in it.
He looks bigger, Cam Pedersen.
He looks solid upper body.
Yeah.
And that is a really nice kick from 55.
Has he been big pre-season in the gym? Is it?
Yeah, he definitely has. He hasn't missed a session, Cam, so I think he's probably been one of our best trainers all pre-season. And it's obviously a tough gig tonight, missing Hogan, Clark, and Dawes. So he's competing really well at the moment.
Well, that's it.
Mark gets the $500 worth of assurance from NAB.
That's a great pickup
for
a local.
Plug in.
Absolutely fantastic pickup for a local footy club. You spoke about the 3 big targets that we look forward to seeing. How's the physical conditioning going, especially Mitch Clark?
Yep. Oh, well, I've been working a lot closely with Mitch, obviously, because we're both in rehab at the moment. But his foot's fantastic at the moment. It's just everything that comes with missing 18 months of footy. So Mitch is actually in a good physical space at the moment. I don't think it's too long till we'll see him out there, and he's such an important part of our team, and obviously he's a real on-field leader.
Looking forward to Mitch Clark joining us at half-time. We've got an array of Tigers and Demons joining us right throughout the broadcast tonight. You heard from Reece Conker, Colin Garland in here with us at the moment, Daniel Jackson, Mitch Clark, Ivan Maric will have a chat to us as well, Tiger fans, so stick around.
And young Giorgio, he's got the job at the moment of trying to guard Tyrone Vickery in the goal square, giving a bit of coverage there at the moment. He's trying to delegate somebody in the top of screen. He's pointing around saying, somebody come get him. He's got about 3 feet on me.
You mentioned he's a premiership player for Norwood, 24 years of age, Giorgio. You mentioned his kicking style's ungainly, but he's got an 84% record by foot, Giorgio, so it might look a little strange, a bit Jim Furyk-ish, but he actually gets a good result.
Or maybe he just goes short and wide off half-back. That might be the one, but yeah, very good player from all reports out of South Australia over the last 4 years, which is great. Colin, how's your physical conditioning? When do we expect to see you back out in the footy field?
I think maybe another month. I had an ankle op, a couple of weeks ago, which wasn't major, but just something that I wanted to clear up before the season starts. Obviously, it's tough enough chasing the forwards with 2 legs, let alone 1. So I don't think it's too long, maybe a month away.
Nice kick from Giorgio there, by the way,
it
guys.
Was good hit.
Oh, you're going to back him up being a South Aussie, aren't you?
Wrong club, though.
It's Norwood. Nicholson takes them on. It's looking very good. This is Barry. And his kick was smothered, Dom Barry. So he's come on as the sub, Dom Barry. So they've already used one of theirs. Melbourne's 2 subs, Michael Evans, Dom Barry. Richmond's 2 subs tonight, Oren Stevenson and also Jake Batchelor.
Just ask you, do you prefer down back to playing forward? I think you've shown wonderful talent up forward.
Well, not much of a choice now that you got Clark, Dawes and Hogan and Fitzpatrick and Howe down there. I think I sort of got squeezed out. But no, I think the back line, the guys that I got drafted with, Frawley and Dunn, those sort of guys that I've got a great relationship with, and I think Ruzzi's really keen to have me down there again this year.
Just clumsy free kick against Rance
there. That could be 50 and a super goal option here.
Now he has the option of the man on the mark.
You've got the option of paying 50. You've got the option to go in and take a 6-pointer. Yeah, full 50. Okay.
He could have asked for the man on the mark to go inside 50 and he kick from the 50-metre line himself, just on the outside of it, and that would have been for 9 points. But the man on the mark has to stay back from the 50.
So if there was 5 seconds left in the game,
and they're 7 points down or 8,
yep,
that's what he would do.
But 7 points the margin right now and plenty of time left. He goes for the surety.
There's no certainty from here either. It's
there's a supporting comment from Dermot.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones I tend to think.
Easy. Very easy. It's a 1-point game.
Never in doubt whatsoever.
It's one of those things where you're a little bit further out, Lynchy. A lot of the guys get greater distance when they swing the ball left to right, and it opens up that if you kick from further out. Having said that, I prefer the close one myself, but you can tend to get them. And if you've got a natural action that does go left to right, you're good to go.
Colin, Dom Tyson, we've spoken in the pre-game about he's obviously a very talented player, been at GWS. How has he fitted in?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I heard Derm sort of speak about him before. We were stoked to get him from GWS.
Yep.
Speaking to a few players up there, they really rated him highly, and he's fitted in great well. He's got great character, and I think some of the stuff he's shown in pre-season, it's really exciting. It adds a left foot too. We don't have many left footers, and it adds a bit more grunt in there with Jones.
Demons on a roll here. Nathan Jones towards Pedersen at half forward. Bounced unkindly for Rance. Pedersen wrapped up by Asprey. Comes down to Barry, unselfish. Could have had the shot himself. Gives it to Howe. Has time, has space, has poise. Stevens in front for the first time tonight.
What's that reward for effort? Essentially in this second term, Richmond have hardly touched the ball. Actually, at the moment, they're plus 62 in disposals, Melbourne are, which is an extraordinary gap.
Watch this pickup, Lynchy. There's a fumble here. Now watch when it gets to ground. Clean. Now he goes inboard. He probably could have just about taken the ping himself. That's a real clean set of hands when his head's over the footy, and that's when you're most vulnerable. From a different angle, what?
Tell us about Dom Barry. I haven't seen a lot of Dom.
Yeah, as you can imagine, extremely quick.
Yep.
outside player, and when he runs with the footy, it really lights us up, and something that we need a bit more of, which is speed. So yeah, he's had a good pre-season, and hopefully he can go all right tonight.
Second year on your list for him as well, so he's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's it, and I think he's a bit more comfortable this year too. He came from Ballarat, country kid, and last year maybe struggled a bit with the move, but this year he's really fitted in well.
He's actually from St Pat's, Ballarat. He was essentially from the middle of Australia, went down to St Pat's on a tennis scholarship of all things, but he found tennis a little lonely as a sport, wanted to play a bit of football to get some camaraderie.
The only drawback at that's the school of fellow commentator Danny Frawley. Is it? Yeah, he's St Pat's Ballarat. I'm sure he wouldn't have stayed there long. They would have outed him pretty quick. But no, I think he's a very proud St Pat's man. He's our spud.
He actually didn't make it into the first 18 a few times, Don Barry, because his studies...
I thought you were talking about Spud.
No, he's probably like Spud. His studies weren't quite up to scratch, and nor was his training habits, but he did rectify those, and at the age of 20, he does look like he's matured a bit, Don Barry. Great signs there for the first game of tonight.
There's that strength, that real body strength, just to hold your ground, not get pushed off the ball.
Now watch the... No, he's chipped.
Martin floats a little. Vickery crashed that contest late.
Who was that?
Tyson. Strauss.
As the defender's come flying across there and thrown himself at the ball. Probably hurt himself.
Cam Patterson, I think, came back with the flight. Yep, to make the spoil.
Plenty of courage there, and he's hurt the big forward.
Good contact.
Griffiths doing some ruck work from behind.
Well done, Bernie Vince.
Yep. Nathan Jones throws that away. One arm pinned. Couldn't get away with it.
Not sure whether David King's downstairs tuned in, but Chris Newman playing on the half-forward line tonight. Is that something we can expect to see for the remainder of the year, or will we see him go back?
No, I think we'll see him play forward. He's a deceptively long kick, Chris, and he's got enormous composure, ball in hand. I think the forwards will get some quality supply. He's an older player, so he knows where to go to get the ball. The interesting one's Aaron Edwards down there, nearly playing like a crumbing role down there, or a fourth tall, if you like, that crumbing role that we haven't seen him play before.
Newman makes no mistake. This is a quality game at the moment. There's 1 point in it.
Nathan Jones just goes off for a spell. Yeah, he's spot on. Just the experience of Chris Newman. He would be a dangerous player to mark on. And this is a very good tackle. We've commented on the tackling pressure from Melbourne tonight already, but the experienced campaigner wants to get a bit more of a taste of finals football before he's done, and that's a great tackle.
Hey, Kingy, we're all played up the wrong end to answer this question, but he's been a backman for 90% of his career. Do you actually learn the tricks of a forward by playing on them over 10 years and therefore you can apply them yourself?
It's a good question. I don't think you ever do totally, Derm. To be the simple answer is it's probably easier for a forward to go back than a back to go forward. But I think experience as a half-forward flanker is invaluable at the moment, because a lot of younger players can get lost with players zoning off them in the modern game.
Vickery in a 1-on-2.
Well, that's a free kick, I thought.
Good boy by Jack Grimes. Well done by that.
Yeah, he's hurt, though.
Stood under it.
Yeah.
The worst part, Frawley.
And he's back twisted.
Towards Tompus. Lennon with double-fisted spoil. Poke in the eye, so hopefully he's okay. Hampson gets it off. This is Miles. First game for the Tigers. Gives it to Newman, but of course not his first game all up. Anthony Miles to play 10 games so far, 3 last year.
Have a look at it. He does get a bit of a twist as
just
head.
Yeah, just clumsy from Tyrone, was it?
A little bit of neck manipulation there. Now he can get them from here.
He can kick a torpedo, Derm. He can go a big torpedo, Chris, if he likes. He's got huge.
I'm thinking the drop punt. He kicked beautifully from here before the game.
He strikes that reasonably well, but not quite well enough. Distance wasn't the problem.
Should have gone the barrel, maybe. Colin, tell us a little bit about Jack Trengove. I mean, there's been an enormous amount of scrutiny on him and the role that he's played. He's elected to stand down. How's his pre-season been? Have you felt that the weight's off the shoulders?
Yeah. He's I guess as a 20-year-old being a captain of a club, he's probably I can't sort of emphasise with him enough. But I think this pre-season the shackles have been off him, and the best thing about it, he's really been freed up in a different role. I mean, he's had a lot of pressure in terms of being that in and under player when we haven't had many for the last couple of years. And with Vince, Tyson and Cross into the mix, I think it adds to his outside game now. He can play on the wing or half forward.
Demons not turning this over. They were careful not to, and now they have. Unfortunately for them, Martin, this is for 9, but he sprays it and doesn't score at all.
Now, the reason why they turned that over, you remember Frawley got in motion and he was streaming forward and he was looking for a target. The Melbourne forwards were caught on this side of the ground. You have to read when the ball goes across the ground in the back line. As a forward, you have to read that, get on the bike and make yourself be a viable target for the likes of Frawley coming down the other wing to take a ping at you.
On the line, Frawley, exactly the right spot there for a defender. Didn't man up, and he guarded the line. Bale had some concussion issues last year, but that's looking okay. Turnover, Ellis.
And just nice work off the ball from Morris, just to put a subtle block on.
Chaplin added to the leadership group for the Tigers. I'm sure you read about that. There was a guy who was dumped from the leadership group. Now media ban on him.
Self-imposed.
Not talking to us. Try and have a chat to him later on tonight. We'll see if he decides to have a chat to us, Jack Revolt.
He might advise you to ban yourself.
Bale's out. No one to kick to, though. He launches long. He's going to have to go and get his own ball.
He might beat him there. He looks over the shoulder to see what whippet's chasing me.
Chaplin, he hunts him down, but he gave it off to Morris. He had the support. Good effort, though. He didn't have many other options. No free kick on McIntosh. Close to the boundary, Edwards.
Did well, Turley.
Frawley. And a short pass back to Grimes.
Has there been a lot of accent, Colin, on retention of the footy? Short kick, just retain the footy, deny the opposition, and how do you train for it?
Yeah, definitely. That's the way we want to control the ball this year is a lot more structured. I think last year we gave the footy away way too easy, and Paul's come in, with George Stone as well, and really concentrated on retention of the football and ball use in general.
Vince to Dom Tyson to Giorgio, so the 3 guys playing their first game for the Demons combined to get it to half forward. And the other first game of Kennedy Harris has been exciting to watch. Couldn't strip that from Bakahuli. A spoil probably would have been a better option there. Foley.
They're looking a bit tired out there, Kingy. All the forwards have even run a bit hard, and they're rather like statues up there at the moment.
Yeah, they are. A very tall forward line, the Richmond forward line at the moment, so that's not a surprise. But it is quite a humid night down here at ground level, and you can just see them really coming to the bench wanting some oxygen.
Hey, Lynchy, it's either too cold or too humid down there for Kingy.
Boston puts it long, and again Frawley was in the right spot, just couldn't get a knuckle on it. Strauss was with him to lend a hand, and they work it to the boundary.
I'm sure come late July,
he'll be screaming for humidity.
Down at Corio, he'll be screaming out for a nice balmy day.
I think this is...
Umpire's found a high free. It's going to go the Tigers' way.
Dwayne, I think this is a credit to the coaching staff to be able to get
Miles,
this.
By the way, Kingy, sorry, go on.
To be able to get this plan in place so quick. We watched Brisbane last night, and there's still a few areas that really aren't defined. We can't see how they want to play just yet. Whereas this Melbourne pattern, they may be breaking down on occasion, but gee, it's so obvious and clear to see what they're trying to achieve.
Anthony Miles off the rookie list. All rookie list players allowed to play in the NAB Challenge. As I mentioned earlier, 3 games last year. GWS 10 games in total. And he can't nail that. Guys have been talking about fatigue setting in. Full-length games in the NAB Challenge this year. 20 minutes plus time on, as it is in the home and away season. Turley. Griffiths up. Knocked away by Cross. Grigg. Edwards.
Stretch. That's what we've seen over the last few years from Edwards. Not so much tonight, but the ability to lead. Didn't play too much football. I think he finished off with 3 very good games towards the end of last season, pushing up the ground.
I think he can do very well. His kick at goals from a set shot.
Back in the VFL days, he hardly missed.
He kicked 5 goals and 4 goals in his last 2 games last year after a lean season. That was enough to get a contract extension for him. Aaron Edwards, all out of play in the shadows of half-time.
Tell us a little bit about Bernie Vince. I've heard through the pre-season, you know, he's worked very hard, but been a real mentor to some of the young midfielders.
Yeah, we spoke about Dom Barry before, and I think he's been fantastic for Dom. I think he's sort of partnered up with him, and I think the thing that we can see with Bernie, I think he's got a point to prove, and the way he's attacked his training's been first class. So we're really excited that we could pick him up, especially on the outside. His kicking skills have been elite.
Anthony Miles kicks the goal. We've got Colin Garland in the box with us, and we're chatting about that man, Bernie Vince, over from the Adelaide Crows as part of the trade. They swapped pick 23 for him after he was taking pick 32.
Played some very good football. Look back there, 2009 Best and Fairest winner for the Adelaide Crows. He was billed in as one of the elite midfielders in the competition. Just sort of lost his way a little, but we know he can play. I think he's going to be a fantastic inclusion into this midfield, both as a mentoring role and also as a legitimate midfielder.
So he's been very good for Dom. He has been photographed with the odd sherbet in hand. How's he gone off field? Wait on this kick from Delidio.
That's for 9. It's for a super goal. And he misses.
No, I can't speak about that on that behalf, but from what we're seeing at training, he's been good. So, yeah, no, I think the boys did rib him a bit on the back page on the Herald Sun about his undies, but yeah,
he's a good bloke, Bernie Vince. You know what he said? For club footballers who are out there, Bernie Vince is one of those guys. We've got so many robotic AFL players. Bernie Vince, he's on screen now. He's one of these guys who works his backside off and doesn't mind a sherbet after the game. He's like the local club footballer. He's just a lot better.
Yeah, that's right. He's just a very good one. Still enjoys the odd pot.
10 points the margin. NAB challenge game 3. Vince flies. Vickery was with him. Half-time not far away, and I think a few tongues are hanging out there waiting for a beverage at half-time, these players.
See Dean Turlick there with 13 disposals, another very good player, I think top 4 in the BNF last year. Dom Tyson sitting up there with 13 disposals, leading the way on the ground.
Might want to watch this, the umpires, if we get a camera on the next stoppage. We've got Nathan Jones. Young Miles, he's literally tackling him at the stoppages. He's doing the wrap up. He's getting both arms around. I thought that went out with when they told Lingy to stop it. He's actually got the bear trap around him.
That's Wayne Campbell down on the boundary line. He'd be going through the videos with the umpires after the game. I'm sure that will be highlighted.
Cambo will protect any midfielder.
Absolutely.
Bale in the middle. 2 minutes from half-time. Jones gets away, goes to Tumpus, and it opens up for the Demons now.
Howe.
He's got Barry. He goes longer for Howe, who's got it with ease. Didn't even have to jump.
He did that well, didn't he? Once they got to the centre of the ground, it's so easy for inexperienced players when you get the ball forward of the absolute true line that goes from wing to wing, so you're in your half of the ground. It's so easy to make a beeline for the goal square, but to share it across the ground, get it back, discombobulates the backline, Dwayne.
I'd agree with you, Dermot, but I'm not too sure whether that was a discombobulation or not. I'll have to check the replay. Howe kicks his second, and it's back to a kick in it.
There we see here, this goes down it goes into the centre, it comes to the flank. So they've taken it from one back flank straight through to the other. So it's zigzagged its way across the ground here. And you see Rancy was actually running to that pocket to cover that pocket, watching the ball through, the path of the ball.
Do you get amazed at some stage? There's Wayne Campbell, the new umpire's boss, just running the eye over.
He's looking worried because his Tigers.
Yeah, right.
Tigers.
Yeah,
he's worried because the umpires aren't quite bouncing as well as they'd like to in the NAB challenge.
Well, it is pre-season and they've got to find their way. Jeremy Howe, you must be amazed sometimes at some of the big hangs that he takes.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've played with Howie's older brother in Tassie. So I always heard the stories, but to do it at AFL level was fantastic. And I think when we've got the big targets indoors, Hogan and Clark up there, I think it's going to be even better for Howie.
Yeah, they need to put pads on their shoulders, I reckon, just saddle up.
Pinged holding the man off the ball, then the umpire.
Foley ducked into that. The umpire says it was still high. Late chance at a score here for the Tigers.
And a message from the bench, Durham.
Lennon, in the first game they've used an early pick on Ben Lennon. They're pick 12 in last year's draft. He's looked good tonight. Heads toward Vickery, which is obviously the plan. Off hands. Matt Jones, danger. Grimes to mop up that little mess. Not a lot to go to. And has to pump it out of the area to a 1-on-3.
He had to use Toumpas then. Just a real short kick, hold it up, let them gather down the line.
Dying seconds. Asprey, and a good mark. Using his body, Giorgio. We've talked about him being a premiership defender in the SANFL. That's a perfect example of protecting the drop zone when you're not quite the tallest player in the battle.
And he was hurt as well because he was dropped off the ball with a fair hip and shoulder, but he was just getting up off the ground.
187 centimetres, Alexis Giorgio.
With Mitchie toward the wing, and probably won't be time enough here for the Tigers. Colin, been great to have you in. We appreciate you joining us, and good luck when you get back into the side.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Colin Garland from the Demons joining us, and we'll have a few other players joining us over the course of the second half here. Van Marich, Mitch Clark, Daniel Jackson also to have a chat to us. So looking forward to their company. And looking forward to tomorrow night as well. It's a 5-point lead for the Tigers at halftime here. Halftime at Etihad Stadium. Been a couple of super goals, but there's been a couple of very competitive teams going head-to-head tonight. Leaders changed a couple of times. Plenty to enjoy for Richmond fans. Your team in front by 5 points at halftime. And plenty to enjoy for Melbourne fans. Lots of scoring shots early, finally got on the scoreboard, and just 5 points in it here at halftime. We'll give you a little bit of a wrap of halftime very shortly, but we've been talking a lot about Melbourne, and the great thing about Melbourne is Paul Roos is now at the helm. They look as if in the first half here they've altered their game plan a little bit, and Melbourne's been one of the big talking points for the four scribes as well. Sheehan, Ralph, Robbo and Waitley. Let's see what they have to say about Paul Roos at the helm.
The magical question, is Roosie the Messiah or just a very rich boy? I'll ask the boy that sat on the couch with him. You're a naughty boy too.
It's a good question, that. Look, he's rich because he does look after his money, Paul.
And 1.8 times too.
And he's getting plenty from the MFC, but I think it's a great appointment. Whatever else happens at that footy club, he will raise expectations and raise standards. And I'm not looking at 8-10 wins, I'm looking at him halving the average losing margin so that Melbourne supporters don't say 10 minutes into the first quarter, we're dead again.
Did you ever doubt whether Roosie did it for the right reasons?
No, I'm happy with that.
I think a lot of clubs have. There's been clubs saying, he's on holidays a lot this summer. He's on too much money. Why is he only on 2 years? So I think a lot of rivals have. But
I did see, without being the know-all, so just by virtue of the fact that we saw him every Monday, I did see the evolution of and the return of the Roos, the coach. Initially there wasn't. Then he got a little bit enthusiastic.
Did you see a change in character? I mean, did Roosie put on his veil of coach, or is they?
Well, we are different. You know, you and I had this discussion when you were a young man. I said, we're not their friends, Robbo. We're not their friends.
No, 7,000 years ago.
We're in the same industry, but there's them and there's us. So we will have some problems with blokes who have been in the media and going to coaching.
We have a sign at work, which we implemented about 8 years ago. 9 years ago was... They hate us anyway. So if it's on the Herald Sun banner. So if we're ever writing a story and we think, oh, should we write this, it's going to upset them, you look at the sign and say,
Hey, Jared, the players must be crying out for a leader. They've had a leader who they hated in Mark Neild, and they had one I'd say a lot of players hated Mark Neild, and I think a lot of players didn't respect the previous coach in Dean Bailey. They liked him, but they didn't respect him. So this bloke, he walks into a room, people stand tall, he unites people. So, look, they won't play finals. They only won 2 games last year. But the players must be so desperate for a bloke who they can believe in.
Yeah, so first of all, enough of that. Enough of the players deciding that sort of thing, and Paul Roos will settle that. If he does the very least that we would expect, and teaches them how to play, they will be profoundly better than what we've seen in recent times. And that's what they demand. That's what we demand. They have ruined football matches that they have participated in for a few years now, and that's no good. It's no good for the player. We've seen that with the players who haven't improved. It's not possible that Melbourne have picked up all the dud players across a whole series of years. It's just not possible. But they haven't been developed. So Paul will do that.
Yeah, I think it's a very wise decision. Melbourne were in a state of disrepair over the last few years. As Jared said, there's a couple of games we watched were terrible. They needed some hope. The fans needed some hope. The players needed some hope. They've put this man into position. I think he's going to do a very good job to lead that group out of the darkness.
And what Melbourne do need is all their players fit. There's one injured player who's downstairs with David King that they want back in a hurry. Kingy, welcome back.
Oh, he's the one-man forward line down here. He's unfortunately on the sidelines. Mitch, where are you at with the body at the moment after such a long comeback?
Yeah, Kingy, I've had a few niggles after Christmas, so just starting to run again and build up slowly. And being out for so long, I was sort of expecting a few soft tissue injuries here and there, and yeah, unfortunately I've got one at the moment, but I'm doing everything I can to get back out there.
It's been a really pleasing night for the club. What stood out to you most?
I think just the ball movement. I think you can see what we're trying to do with the footy, and we're a lot more predictable to each other, so I'm looking forward to being out there, especially as a forward.
The uncontested mark numbers are through the roof. Is that the main message for Ruzi?
I'm not sure if it's the main message. We want to do the basics well, and that includes kicking the footy and holding possession. So, you know, that's definitely one thing we've been working on over the pre-season.
When do we see you next?
Hopefully as soon as possible. I'm not too sure as yet. As I said, I'm just starting to get going again, so I'm really looking forward to being back out there, and yeah, I just can't wait to be involved again.
Well, team and supporters can't wait to see you back out there, and Dwayne, I don't think it'll be too far away.
Let's hope not.